Right. The question about is marijuana addictive has been debated in the past, but really there's no debate in the scientific community anymore that marijuana causes addiction. And so it causes tolerance, for example. People use more to have the same effect. It can cause withdrawal symptoms, which are similar to nicotine withdrawal, irritability, insomnia, decreased appetite, mild tremor. Some of those symptoms. People use marijuana if they're addicted more and more, and they lose some control over their use. So really there's no scientific debate anymore that marijuana can cause addiction. We know that the brain reward circuit matures in the early adolescence, age 13 or 14. So what does that mean? That means young adolescents can experience rewards and pleasures and are motivated to take risks the same way adults are at an early age, about age 13, 14. We know that the prefrontal cortex, which helps people think ahead, plan ahead, organize themselves, put the brakes on things, say, yes, I would want to do that, but maybe that's not a great idea. That part of the brain is not fully mature until mid-20s, maybe 25 or so. And so you have this very vulnerable time during adolescence in which the gas pedal works great, that's the brain reward circuit. The brakes, which is the prefrontal cortex, helps you think ahead, doesn't work so well. It's not fully developed yet. That explains why, for example, over 90% of adult smokers started smoking cigarettes before the age of 18. Similarly, youth who use marijuana before the age of 18, much more likely to go on to develop a marijuana addiction than people who wait till after they're 18. So, and it also raises an important point too, that biologically, adolescence and brain development is really extended out to about age 25 or so. So there's really nothing magical about the age 18 or the age 21 that means that this is safe for somebody to use. We know that in Colorado, about 50 to 60% of youth will use marijuana by the time they graduate from high school. So what does that mean? Actually, that means, in some ways, good news. That means half of kids will not have used by the time they graduate from high school. We know that past month use among high schoolers is, in Colorado, about 22% or so, 20 to 22%, depending on where you live. And so another corollary of that is that 80% of kids are not actively using. They may have used it once, but they haven't used it recently. And so I'm trying to encourage parents, look, this is not something you have to accept. It's not a done deal. You don't just have to roll over and say, this is part of development and growing up and it's a rite of passage. No, it's not something that parents have to tolerate. In fact, I would encourage parents to stay strong with this because it really is something that could potentially have very harmful effects for their teenager. So, one, I would take it seriously. Two, I would try to communicate have a conversation with your youth, and it's hard as a parent. You A, have to love your child no matter what, and B, you have to at the same time have limits and boundaries. And so I would encourage parents to try to negotiate that tightrope. That's easier said than done. And then three, I would encourage parents to, if they suspect that it's more than just a one-time use, to really seek evaluation, seek an assessment sooner than later, because it's so much easier to treat a cannabis use disorder, mild, just started recently, than treating it downstream. It's just a lot harder at that point.